I'm Al.
And I'm Jackie Bailey. Okay, so actually we met in church. My husband was in the Air Force, I was in high school, and a friend of ours, my best girlfriend, asked me, did I want to meet someone? So I said yes. So we were sitting in the choir, he came to church, and she pointed him out to me, and the rest is 57 years of history later.
It was on. Well, I was told that there were some very nice young ladies that attended the church in the city nearest the Air Force Base where I was stationed. And I went to church and saw her and liked her and became acquainted, you know, NAACP meetings and church and stuff like that.
I remember our first date. Our first date really wasn't a first date because wherever I went, my brother, or brothers, and a cousin had to go with me. So it wasn't
all four males. No.
So it wasn't like we were on a date by ourselves. But we went to a party. You know, my mom says, okay. She tells me and she tells him that you have to be home at a certain amount of time.
What party?
I think it was 11.
What party was that?
One of the parties up there that someone was giving. Who knows? That was 57 years ago. So, so that was the first unofficial date. But I think our real first date, where we actually went by ourselves, we went bowling. A bowling alley in Los Angeles. I don't even know if the bowling alley is still there yet. It was someplace on Venice or Washington.
We got married in 1960, right?
Yeah.
I joined the Air Force in 1958, and so, you know, less than 2 years. Well, I think what it says is that it's always wise to marry with a spread between the ages. I think my maturity, which a lot of young men are not mature when they get married, so they're not ready to get married. But I was mature enough to be a good, stable husband, and she was wise enough to be a good, quiet wife.
Well, for one thing, I was not quiet, so no, I'm still not quiet. But you know, in the 60s, everyone got married young. If you were 25 years old, male or female, and you weren't married, it was rather odd, and people would wonder, well, how come you're not married? You know, what's going on? So that was more common than not.
Mm-hmm.
These days it's a little bit different, but yeah, we were young when we got married, but it wasn't unusual.
I have no idea. we just lived our lives, and you know, I guess we had our value system, like going to church and like doing things with the whole family frequently, often, not periodically or you know, whenever. So, and we were very active. You know, we did a lot of traveling, cross-country drives, skiing, camping, whatever. So, you know, and also just cross-country trips just to visit family. So it was familyness with us, I believe. What do you say?
Well, I say that is a contributing factor to longevity in a marriage. Family has got to come first. We both came from large families, which is probably a good thing because we knew what large families were about. We know what large gatherings were about. We knew the values of being around your aunties, your grandmothers, your cousins, and all of that. Now, as far as what do I contribute to a long marriage, there's not any one or two or three or four contributing factors because a marriage has stages. So as early as we got married in our 20s, that was one stage. That stage was just trying to find out who you are. Not how we were, but who am I at 20-something years old, having children and trying to raise kids, and he's working and going to school, etc. So then you get in your 30s, and that's a different stage. So it just goes in different stages, and of course the older you get, the wiser you get. So the wiser you get, the more maturity you get in a marriage, then you realize what your role is as a wife or a husband in a marriage. And when I was young, we were young, yeah, we were married, that's my husband, that's my wife, but you don't really know what your role is. You have to grow into that role. So 57 years of marriage is a wonderful thing. You don't think about not being married. At least we didn't. These days it's so easy for couples to get divorces. We've had some obstacles, but nothing to that degree where we thought about splitting this marriage. And with children come into a factor, you're so busy with raising children and stuff, sometimes you lose sight of each other. I think we kind of kept sight of each other and tried not to let third parties or other people, outside influences, interfere with our marriage or raising our children or our home. So those are some of the factors that, and I don't even realize it, just, we've been married 57 years, it's just like having a birthday, you get older, right? Just like I'm married. Okay, well, so now we got a milestone, 50, now we got another milestone coming up, just like your age. So, yeah, I can't say, I've had people ask us that in the past about what do you contribute to the longevity of marriage. I can't pinpoint a contributing fact. It's a conglomerate of things that make a marriage go. And of course there's love, and there's trust, and family. To me, your family is your support. So those are some of the factors. It's two black people that love each other. You get married at a young age, and you don't think about not being married. I've always made sure that in this home, in respect to my husband and myself and my children, that this is family right here. So no matter what goes on the outside with my children, or when we go out of this house, we know what's expected in these walls. Mm-hmm. We know what's expected in these walls of each other. Respect, for one thing. We have always respected our children, and now that they're grown, they respect us, and all the way down to our grandchildren. They know that. Character, to me, or to us, is very important. And we've always taught our children about the character, and when you go out of this house, that character is the same. Don't go out of the house and embarrass yourself. Don't worry about embarrassing your parents. It's yourself and who you are. Make sure that you're always true to yourself. And all of our children have always been that way. We've had four children, and we have 9 grandchildren. And I would say that they're not carbon copies, but you can believe they all have good character. They all respect themselves. So that's part of, I guess, what you call black love. We're friends, and we like each other's company after 57 years still. We get along quite well. Yeah.